When I set out to film this today, I did not realize that we were going to have a major meteorological event. But we do have some good news or bad news or just kind of like neutral news, I guess. I don't really know how to describe this. I hope you guys realize there was never a goal, nor was it an intention to own 8 motorcycles at the same time. It was kind of just a thing that happened as I've been collecting motorcycles over time. Although it's becoming abundantly clear to me, it is really difficult to sell a motorcycle. I know, Matthew Wood's trying to sell a bike instead of buying one. Very weird concept, I know. But I literally own 8 motorcycles. It's ridiculous. It's too much. I own the Rocket 3, the Ducati V4. I own a KTM, the Triumph, R6, 698, H2, and the Grom. All fantastic, phenomenal motorcycles that I love each individually deeply. But I announced a little bit ago I was going to sell the 698. It was not a decision that I wanted to relish in, and it's also a decision I feel like I made very much in haste, but also don't regret. I listed this bike for sale for $9,500 on Facebook Marketplace. I had a friend to list it for me because I figured I was going to get a lot of people that were just kind of mess with me, and I was correct. Facebook Marketplace is a cesspool, I have learned. I had offers on the motorcycle for as much as $9,500, the asking price for the motorcycle, which would make sense, for as little as $100 for this motorcycle, which doesn't make any sense. Why would I take an offer for $100? That doesn't, I could scrap the motorcycle for less than that. I could part it out for less than that. Facebook Marketplace, I think, brings out the worst in humanity in people, which is why I was paying my friend to list this bike on sale for Marketplace. This is a motorcycle I have $17,000 of money into. And I get it's not a sport bike, like I get it's not like the most flashy bike, most desirable bike of all time. It's more of a niche motorcycle that not a lot of people go for. I figured I was gonna lose a little bit of money on this bike, but it just shocks me on how ignorant and stupid it is to sell a motorcycle, which I didn't realize before buying 8 of them and owning 8 of them. I've been neglecting this bike so much ever since I had this bike out in Miami. That was the last time I rode this bike. There was rust forming on the brake rotors. I told myself I didn't want to ride this bike until I was able to sell it because it's just really weird to prep a bike in order to sell it, because I really do try to take care of my motorcycles, and especially if I'm going to sell it to somebody else. I'm not trying to screw them over, so I clean it, I wax the chain, I try to take care of it the best I can, I make it look all pretty, beautiful like it is right now sitting in front of you. But it has been a month since I listed this bike for sale, and yeah, the experience has not been great. And I wanted to talk about it. I did have one guy who seemed like he was somewhat serious and interested and willing to come check out the bike. I should make sure that this bike can start real quick. Let's just, okay. Whew. I was just a little bit worried about the battery because this thing has not been on a tender and it's been sitting for quite a while. Again, I had the expectation that this bike would sell relatively quickly because I priced it so low under what they usually sell for. I say what they usually sell for because usually these bikes sell for around $13,000 to $14,000 brand new. That's before taxes, fees, and everything like that. I thought by listing this bike with the $3,000 exhaust on there, like it's the factory exhaust, I thought this bike would be a little bit more desirable, and especially at a low price of $9,000, give or take. I really thought that more people would be interested in the thing, and they're not. And look at that, about 2 seconds down the road, we already got rid of that rust. See, it wasn't that bad. Fun little fact about this bike, I don't know if you guys remember in the last video I mentioned that the police were tracking me. I looked up on a website where you can see if police have been tracking you on those like flock cameras that you see everywhere. Out of every single bike that I own, this is the bike that they were tracking me on. Now, to be fair, this is a bike, I guess I kind of glossed over it. This bike has a perfectly legal plate, which was unlike a lot of different bikes I was running last year. This year, pretty much all my bikes, I think, at this point have a legal plate, so it's not really something I'm worried about that much as much this year. But out of all the bikes I've ever been tracked on, I guess that kind of tracks with the fact that this is the one that I've been tracked on the most. Very strange, very weird situation. I'm really not trying to hype that up as much. It could have just been like an innocent little thing, but they don't exactly give you a reason on the website why you were being tracked. It's just kind of like, hey, you were tracked by the police. Here's the public database as to why, and it doesn't say why, and I'm just like, okay, well, I guess I'm just being tracked for no reason then. Thank you. Oh god, dude, I can feel the back wheel wanting to slide out. As you can tell by the leaves and crap flying everywhere, it's a very windy day. I suppose when you're on a bike that weighs half of what the H2 weighs, you're gonna get blown around a little bit. My goal for today, though, is I want to take this bike to the Ducati dealer, my local Ducati dealership, and I want to get this bike appraised. How much is this bike worth on the private market? Because maybe I'm wrong. Oh my god, it's windy out here. I'm like, it feels like I'm riding sideways into the wind. It's pushing me around, boys. Hold steady, lads. Never in my life have I ever had to ride in that weather. Well, have to. I don't have to, but we're doing it. As long as it's dry, I'm happy. It's one of those times you have to put down both feet to like prevent the bike from falling over. It's kind of fun. I mean, like, I won't lie. It's like it's switching up a little bit rather than like going out for a nice Sunday cruise at like sunset or something.
It's like this is an active, you have to actively push against the wind when going out riding. It's like an extra challenge, like an extra level of difficulty. So you don't want to play on easy mode every time. It's nice to have it set to hard mode every once in a while. Okay, brace for impact. As long as it doesn't get any stronger and push me into a car, I think we'll be fine. Makes me think of the skeleton moving the captain's ship. People are using it to like joke about people's sensitivity on video games. It's like, that's what it feels like. Like, turn the wheel. Oh my god. And just like that, boys, we made it to Ducati Cleveland. Treacherous ride. We just gotta beat this before, we gotta get done here before any kind of rain comes in, hopefully. I'm gonna very cautiously key this on. I believe that this one was sold. Ducati V4R. This thing revs up to almost 17,000 RPM. It's basically the closest thing between a combination between my V4 and my R6. It looks a little bit similar to my V4 other than, you know, a little bit bigger wings. It has a wing down there, which is a little bit interesting. If I can get a better look at that. Yeah, it's got wings down on the bottom. Interesting, kind of like the KTM that I have. It's got different little decals right here. The paint quality does look a little bit better. That's just because, that could be because mine's older. Again, I'm really not trying to touch this thing because it might be sold. It also has a black swing arm and a black frame, which I personally like a little bit more than mine. This shit looks really cool, man. A little bit of a different seat. Really cool bike. Really cool bike. I can't afford that though. Especially when I'm talking about not being able to sell a motorcycle right now. I should not be looking at a $50,000. Speaking of $50,000 monster, they also have a Lamborghini set aside here as well, because one gigantic, really cool V4 isn't enough for you. If you really want something even more ridiculous, I guess there's a Lamborghini V4 here as well. This is basically just a Panigale V4S with a paint job, and it also, interestingly enough, it also has a black frame and black swing arm, kind of like the V4R. So that's a little bit more interesting. Really expensive bikes that are completely out of my tax bracket. Again, this kind of ties me back to the same problem I've been having, which we need to, I want to figure out the trade-in value for my bike today, which you might be the person to talk to about that today. All right, boys, we had somewhat of good news, somewhat kind of bad news. I don't know what to really talk about. So I got the dealer trade-in numbers if I decided to trade this bike in today and buy another Ducati. Ooh, there's a little bit of precipitation starting to come down. We gotta hurry, boys. I am not trying to get rain down while I'm out here. So dealer states that they were gonna give me about 7 to 8 grand if I decided to trade this bike in today. The caveat is to a trade-in value is it comes with the expectation that you're going to buy another bike from the same brand. Now, I like Ducatis. I think Ducatis are cool. They're definitely a brand that's innovating a lot over a lot of the different motorcycles that the companies are being produced right now. However, I am not going to lie to you. I don't think that there's a lot of Ducatis right now that are personally sparking my personal interest. Everything that Ducati was making currently in their lineup, it was this bike and their V4 that were the two most interesting bikes to me personally. Even when it comes to something like the Diavel, like it's like a big power muscle cruiser, which I would like, given that I like the Rocket a lot. The Rocket to me was just a little bit more novel. It's a little bit more interesting. So I don't really want to trade this bike in, especially because the main reason why I wanted to sell a motorcycle in my entire lineup is because I have too many. I don't want to trade a bike in for another one, and because then I'm stuck at the same problem in the first place, is because I don't have enough space in my garage. I can barely walk around my garage. I want to be able to work on my bikes on a rainy day, but I can't really do that right now because everything is filled up. I have to like wait till a sunny day so I can push the bikes outside and then work on a bike. So my only option right now is to sell on Facebook Marketplace, which, hey, when a trade-in value is around 7 to 8 grand, that's pretty good because that means I'm selling it right at like a little bit above trade-in value, which is typically what you do, especially considering that I have the exhaust on this bike, which exhausts I get typically don't raise the valuation of a motorcycle. But this is the Ducati exhaust, like this is the official. I'm gonna slow down right there. That is motorcycle knowledge. Those cars didn't see me, and so I'm just preemptively braking. You never know. Ducati makes factory exhaust for the bike, which no other manufacturer does right now. Like, they make full exhaust systems, like catless race exhaust systems for their bikes. I don't know how they do it legally, but they do it. It keeps the factory warranty and everything. Like, if the engine blew up on this bike, I can go get it fixed for free, and it's transferable. The next owner of this bike would get that benefit. The only downside being is you have to pay a little bit more extra for the exhaust system. So I feel like when I'm right at the OEM factory trade-in value, or almost like a little bit above, you know, with a little bit of negotiating, anything can happen. But, you know, I'm like right pretty much there. The asking price, I think, is fair. And then given the fact I also have the factory OEM exhaust on here, or the, you know what I mean, the factory OEM race exhaust on here, I feel like it's a little bit of a fair valuation. I'm really trying to make my case here because it's really stupid what I've been dealing with. Meanwhile, on Facebook, I have to deal with lowballers. Like I said, I had someone offer me as little as $100. Someone asked if they could trade me. It was like a 2003 Ford Mustang. and the thing was completely clogged. I don't want a Mustang. I don't care about cars. I really don't care about the Mustang. I had somebody offer me his 2006 Suzuki Gixxer 750, which fantastic bike, phenomenal bike, but again, it leads me to the same problem. Is I don't really want to, oh, we gotta cut this light, make it green, but that leads me to the same problem is I'm then stuck with another motorcycle when I'm trying to clear the garage out. Now, I did actually have a few people offer me some decent trade-ins. However, you never want to trade vehicles with somebody on Facebook Marketplace. I take care of my vehicles. I like to think I relatively have a good conscience when it comes to maintaining a vehicle. I change the oil, change the air filters, do everything you're supposed to do, preventative maintenance. But I feel like the majority of people out there don't do that. So the last thing that you want to do is you want to trade vehicles with somebody after you took care of your vehicle for a vehicle that was not taken care of. And yeah, it could make it easier to sell. Like if they trade me a sport bike, like a modern sport bike that has a little bit more value to it, that it might sell quicker. Oh, it is raining. Oh, man. Oh, boy.
Genuinely, I don't know what that ride was. When I left earlier, it was sunny and shiny, and now it is not. I did, unfortunately, get a little bit soaked on the way home. Front of the bike took the brunt of it, but this is what I get for living in a state like Ohio and trying to ride my motorcycle, I guess. I was gonna try to take the KTM today into the dealership so I can try to get some of the stuff fixed, but I guess that's gonna have to wait for another day now. I don't know, there still is a little bit of sun in the distance there, so maybe just wait another 5 minutes and the weather will clear up, who knows. So we're just gonna finish this video inside today because outside is a little bit too dastardous and dangerous. This is also, by the way, fun little fact, is where I'm keeping my Grom right now. The damaged one that I wrecked from over the summer. Yeah, selling a motorcycle is difficult. God, who knew? Now, I don't think I would have this many issues with selling a motorcycle if it was a little bit more of a popular motorcycle like the R6, for example. I truly think my biggest issue stems from this bike being a very niche motorcycle that not a lot of people know about or care about. For now, my plan is to, well, pretty much my only option is to keep the bike listed on Facebook Marketplace. I guess as by making this video, it's kind of like, hey, I put it out there, like, I am selling it. I think it's a great motorcycle. I would love to continue to own it, and to be honest with you, if it doesn't sell, I guess I'm gonna have to keep owning it. I'm not like, it's not a financial decision, luckily, thank goodness. I don't have like anything on the horizons that I don't have a big bill to pay. I have nothing to really worry about. I rent this apartment or this house, so I don't really I don't have like a major billage to worry about. But also in terms of the page, buying and riding different motorcycles is kind of like my whole thing. It's holding on to one set of motorcycles for a long period of time, I don't think it's very interesting or exciting. And so I think it's like not a net nothing to just hold on to the bike. I think it's a net negative because I could be freeing up that slot, that cash, to be doing something more interesting. But I also don't really know what else I would buy. I feel like I'm kind of struggling a little bit after I rode the V8 motorcycle, if you guys remember that video. I rode a V8 motorcycle. I rode the Boss Hoss. It's like the cream of the crop. It's really like, there's nothing better than that. Besides the Y2K motorcycle, if you guys don't know what that is, it is basically a helicopter engine on a motorcycle, and it sounds like this. Like, imagine pulling up and getting pulled over by a cop for like a plate violation or something, and then you start that thing up, because like that would be incredible. I think that would be phenomenal for content. But also we can't afford that. It's $400,000. In terms of like normal motorcycles that I have like aspired to own, I feel like I've hit my limit with that a little bit. I've owned a V4, I've owned an S1K, I've owned an R1, I've owned like a bunch of big leader bikes that I care about personally. I've not owned a Fireblade, but I've ridden one. Aprilia, I've ridden Aprilias. Don't really interest me to own them personally too much. I've ridden like all of the big dream bikes and even went beyond that and got things like the R6 that were like my personal dream bikes. Bikes that are like hard to attain, hard to get, like the 765. Another weird dream bike of mine, but I wanted to own it. It just feels like I've hit the limit of dream bikes, if that makes sense. There's only so many motorcycles in the world, so many like really cool and interesting motorcycles, and it's just hard to find an interesting one after you've already hit all of the main ones. Now I could just wait like another year, and I think BMW is probably getting ready to refresh the S1K, which I would personally be interested in. Kawasaki did just refresh the ZX-10, but to be honest, they didn't change that much. I'm not that interested in it. When Ducati refreshed the V4, I was one of the first people to pick one of those up. Like, I could just wait for motorcycles to be refreshed. Maybe Yamaha comes out with a V4, that would be interesting. But I'm just kind of in this like waiting period where there's not a lot going on. I got the KTM was like, meh, it's fine, it's whatever. But now it's like, now what? Obviously, the first step to that is going to be selling some motorcycles and moving on to different ones. But it's just gonna take some time, and time is not something I'm usually very patient with. But just let this be a lesson. Let my stupidity be a lesson for you. Buying a lot of motorcycles with the hopes of selling them in a quick and timely manner is not a very smart and responsible idea. You will end up buying a motorcycle that you will get stuck with, and you're gonna be married to it and stuck with it forever. Kind of like even if you love the motorcycle, I love the bike, I'm not really like that upset about keeping it. I don't want this to come off as like I'm super complaining. Like I'm not dying to get rid of it. I think it's a great bike. It's an interesting scenario to like want to sell it, not kind of wanting to sell it, but then just not selling it and you're kind of stuck with it. It's like, oh no. I'm stuck with the bike, no! Unique to my situation though, I would like to free it up. In terms of some like other general updates though, just because I figured I'd talk about this while I'm home. The Grom has been sitting inside for quite a little bit, mainly because I don't really have enough space in my garage to move bikes around in general, let alone having another bike in there. I also really want to do some clutch work on this bike before I take it out, and I'm trying to stunt it this summer. I've been told if you put stiffer springs in this bike, which I do have somewhere around here. Yeah, here it is next to my little Plaything S1000. That's a dream bike right there. I have some stiffer springs for the Grom. I just need to actually take the time to put that in that bike. That way it'll make it a little bit easier to wheelie that bike when the time comes. Going back into the garage of other darkness, the KTM obviously needs to go to a dealership. They've been telling me to bring it in as soon as possible. The weather has not been agreeing with me very much lately. Cruise control still doesn't work, as you guys can tell. It's still blinking at the top of the screen. That's very annoying. Quick shifter still doesn't work on this bike either, so it's a bike that I just need to take back to the dealer to have them look at it because it's broken and it needs to be fixed, but I just have not had the weather to be able to do so. I've been making some solid progress on the Triumph Rocket 3, getting this bike broken in, but again, I just need some nice weather and I'll be able to break the bike in. The V4 has been very good to me lately, and I've just been riding it and enjoying it. I actually have nothing like weird or bad updates to this bike. It's just been really fun to ride this bike around. So kind of odd that the Ducati has been the old reliable, like Mr. Dependable in the lineup, but it has been. The Triumph and the R6, the two golden middleweights in my opinion. These two bikes have not been ridden in months. The Triumph has not seen any attention, I don't think, since California, and the R6 has not been ridden since October. Same with the H2 over there. The R6 and the H2 are kind of like a little bit more special in my opinion, and I refuse to take those bikes out unless it's like perfect, beautiful conditions with no chance of getting rained on and no salt on the road, and I've just not had that opportunity. My God, the wind outside is like hitting against the door. Jesus. Oh my God, it's bending the garage door. I just realized that. It's like bulging the door in and out. I don't know if you guys see that. It is an egregious amount of wind outside. And I really thought it was gonna be a nice day to ride today. Yeah. I had a blast on the Triumph over in Cali, but again, I just have not had time to ride this bike given the weather. It's getting really annoying. Really interesting for the R6 though. Finally, I have some good news. Check this out, baby. I got some forged carbon for the R6. I still have yet to open the other one, and I don't know, I guess I can do a little unboxing. Oh, come on, there we go. Forged carbon, baby. These are basically covers because if I come around to the other side, the R6 has always had the issue because it's a race model. It didn't come with any of these like internal covers for like where the lights usually go. I don't know why. I mean, it just seems like it was a cost saving for the R6, I guess. But yeah, see how it has all those wires exposed? It looks really ugly if you watch some of my past videos on the R6. Well, these like forged carbon pieces will cover that up. And I think it also makes the bike look really cool. Because now whenever you look down, like you're in the cockpit looking down, oh my God, you have forged carbon everywhere. I think it's really cool and matches the bike kind of perfectly in my opinion. But I just need to get some plastic clips to be able to hold some of this stuff in. And that is unfortunately pretty much it. I feel blessed I was able to even ride today at all, but it's just one of those days in Ohio where we're just waiting on warmer weather. I don't know if you guys can tell, I'm kind of getting sick and tired of traveling, and so it's just nice having it like being somewhat warmer here in Ohio. I really am just looking forward to riding around Cleveland again. But once again, I appreciate you guys sticking by me, and I can't wait to see what we got in store for the next one. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.